So maybe in later seasons, I hope this is a multi-season run where we can get settled in with a story and really anticipate future chapters of that story as opposed to these mini series
Yeah.
or these series of shorts. I hope this is a healthy 12 to 16 episode long season, and we have multiple annual seasons of this same show. Not like the next year there's going to be a whole different animated show. I want
Right.
to follow a sprawling epic tale over the course of several seasons. I want this with animation, a focused story, and I also want this with live action streaming. A single focused story that is told with meaty hour-long episodes running over the course of 12 to 16 episode seasons that expand 5 to 7 years long,
Yeah.
something we can really invest in. Because I think as Star Wars fans, as far as streaming and animation goes, for the past 5, 6 years, we've been getting jerked around left and right. It's been a very bumpy ride. I mean, look at just this past year. We began a year with animation, Bad Batch. Okay, that wrapped up fine. But then we went to Acolyte, which was set 1,000 years prior to the original trilogy. New characters, new situation, new spot on the timeline. 8 episodes, done. Then a few months later, we're jerked back into the Mandalorian era timeline with all new characters, new situations, and a story that was pretty well self-contained, but over in 8 weeks, done. Now what? It's like now something, now Andor. Different characters, different timeline. At least this is picking up off of an existing story. So it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like we're being just like jerked into but we're being jerked into yet another direction after committing to the Acolyte, after committing to Skeleton Crew. Now it's Andor, and then that's going to be over with in a month. Then the next thing's going to be in a vastly, so it's also just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. And in response, I feel that as hardcore Star Wars fans, we'll go along for the ride. Don't worry about us, but we really need the general public to get on board with this so this is successful and guarantees a healthy life and future for the franchise. And general audiences get scared away by this haphazard way of just throwing all of this experimental crap at the wall. They
Yeah.
don't stick around for that. They're the ones who really get hurked and jerked around. So I want to see more consistency.
Yeah,
And
I got to say, the Marvel model influencing Star Wars is one of the worst things to ever
bad
happen.
idea.
Yeah.
It's apples to oranges. They're two, maybe on the surface level, they might share similarities, but we need to go deeper below the surface if we're going to commit to a future of Star Wars storytelling. And for some reason, Lucasfilm and Disney just have refused time and time again because they want to service everyone. And by servicing
Yes.
everyone, they're servicing no one.
Right.
They think they're providing diversity in the storytelling, saying, oh, there's a Star Wars for everyone, but they're creating Star Wars for no one. So audiences don't want to get jerked around. We want to know what Star Wars is when we walk into the theater door or we punch up the Disney Plus. It can't be like Jackie and Saul, and who are these people? Where's Mando and Grogu? Where's Luke and Darth? I mean, it's just, I think the franchise has been going through an identity crisis over the past, throughout all of this decade. They've been going through an identity crisis, and it's in this haphazard, sloppy desire to create Star Wars or a version of Star Wars for everyone, as opposed to keeping their eyes on the prize and enhancing.
Star
and
Wars has
polishing.
always been for everyone.
Yes, polish the diamond that you have on your ring. Don't be window shopping for all these other diamonds. You already have one.
Yeah.
So
it's like they're looking for a franchise.
Yeah,
we got to make this thing a franchise.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it just feels like we aren't getting quality. We're getting content.
Yes,
and we want quality. So
yeah,
that's my rant.
Well said. Well said. That's great. Let's get into Ahsoka. By the way, we still got quite a few people watching live. Very active chat. Let's get the phones lit up. 708-866-1737. Give us a call. And we're soon going to it's going to be open season here. So if you want
Yeah,
to sound
but
off
you
on
have to stay
anything.
awake. Just
Yeah,
please
well-
stay awake. I know it's difficult listening to RFR to maintain consciousness, but
Yeah.
let's just try. Let's just try. Drink a cup of coffee or something. I got coffee going on right now in my Skywalker Ranch mug, my favorite mug, my favorite mug. So,
all right, let's get into the Ahsoka panel. We knew that it was going to be more of a reflection on the season that we had, season 1. But of course, you can't get all of them out there on the stage. We're talking about Dave Filoni, Rosario Dawson, Hayden Christensen out the entire time at the panel, which should tell you something about his importance to not just what we saw in season 1, but what is coming. And yes, that was confirmed that he will be in Ahsoka season 2. Obviously, why would he be out there? But Filoni, for years we've talked to Dave, and he's really good at getting out of those questions about the future. Always in motion is the future, he famously says. But this panel did not escape some little tidbits about what to expect in season 2, including the fact that they start filming next week. So
they start filming next week. Principal footage, or like pre-production footage has already been shot. I from what I understand, some stunt sequences have already gone in front of the camera. Second unit stuff has already been shooting. Special effects unit, it's hard at work. So now they're going to get the principal photography underway starting next week with Rosario and the gang. And one guy who won't be around for that, unfortunately, is Ray Stevenson. Balin Skull, he passed away after season 1 was shot, and he's been replaced by an actor from Game of Thrones named Rory McCann. I'm not too familiar with Rory. I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, but from what I understand, he's going to be a good fit as Balin. Dave Filoni got a little emotional talking about Ray Stevenson. But after he shared some sentiments about the actor, he started talking about the future of the character Balin Skull and how they're going to go forward with Rory McCann. So here's Dave Filoni talking about this important job they had to recast the all-important character of Balin Skull.
In essence, because Ray had performed it so iconically, there's a blueprint for what this character should be. And then I talked with John, and John and I decided that we just needed to find the right person that would not just understand the character, but also understand a bit of what Ray brought to it as well. It's something imperceptible, something just in the eyes, really, to be honest. And I think we both felt very fortunate that things pointed towards, and we met Rory McCann. And so Rory will be taking over the role of Balin. And just so you guys know, and John knows too, speaking to Rory, and he spoke with Rosario, he takes it very seriously. He takes it very to heart. Rory's a big man with a big heart, and he has such respect for Ray and what Ray brought to this that I know his whole focus is not letting Ray down and not letting you guys down. So he really feels it. So you'll love him, and we love him now, and I love what he's taking on because it's a big deal. So the force is with him, and I know you guys will be too. So thank you.
Yeah, very emotional moment there in the theater when Dave started talking about Ray Stevenson, for sure. And I didn't know, I was surprised. I didn't know that they would that he would be so open about all of that. And I certainly didn't think we would get an image of Rory. So here it is, Rory McCann as Balin Skull. Definitely a different guy. Definitely a different guy. He's not a he's not a physical double for
No.
Balin, but it sounds like what Dave needed and was looking for is someone that inhabits the character, not necessarily just the physicality, but the character of what Ray had created for it. And Ray just had, I mean, he was just one of those. I was certainly not a Ray Stevenson expert by any means, but wow, when you see him, you can't take your eyes off him when he's on the screen. He just has he has the it factor. And so that's a tough thing to replace. So hopefully they've done it with Rory.
He passed away way too young. When we look at Rory McCann here, the first thing you take note of that's vastly different than Balin's skull as portrayed by Ray Stevenson in season 1 is the length of the guy's hair. He has quite the long hair. Is that hair or is that the...
That's cloak.
That's the cloak. Does that not look like hair?
Boy, it sure does when it's smaller, but that
is the cloak. So I thought this would indicate like a jump in time. Obviously they don't have stylists on Paradia,
right?
But I thought that was his hair. Would you look at that? It sure is the cloak.
Boy, but when you see it at this angle, it does look like it. Here's another shot where it's a little bit more obvious, but yeah.
So
he looks a little bit like the Count Dooku model from the Clone Wars.
With that
big beard and the prominent nose. Yeah.
So and we see he's got that orangish colored lightsaber again. It's not quite Sith red. It's got that orangish tint to it, which I noted with Balin's skull in season 1. I don't understand the significance of that. Is it supposed to be red? Why does it look orange? I don't know. I've heard Filoni say something about it in the past that there's kind of a very specific look he wanted for the saber. But I don't know. I'm just happy to know that the character will live on. And it was tough for Filoni to come to terms with continuing the story with a different character. But it appears it's going to be for the best as far as the overall narrative goes.
And maybe this will be what they need to get over this aversion to recasting characters in Star Wars. Maybe this will be the thing that makes them realize that they can do it.
Well, we're going to be talking about Andor in just a second. It's been revealed via Tony Gilroy interviews that a character from Rogue One is going to be played by a different person in in Andor season 2. A lot of speculation thinks it's Jimmy Smits Bail Organa. I don't know why Jimmy is such the target. He reappeared as Bail Organa just a few years ago in the Kenobi series. And but they say maybe it's a scheduling thing. So maybe they couldn't get him, or I've heard some other names mentioned too in relation to Rogue One as far as recast characters go. But we'll just have to wait and see. We will definitely have to wait and see. I think Andor is going to have some big surprises for us, but let's concentrate on what's coming up next year in Ahsoka before we get to Andor. A very well-known character from the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy is going to be returning in Ahsoka season 2, and that's Admiral Akbar. And Filoni reveals this during the Ahsoka panel, and he talks about writing dialogue for the character and the challenges that presented and what Akbar's purpose is going to be in Ahsoka season 2.
I really, it took all of my effort to resist writing the line. It's a trap. Because I'm like, I can't do that. That would be so lame. Because this guy can't always get into the trap. Like, you would think he would see it this time. Right? So you're like, there's no way you could trap him again. But Neil Scanlon and I collaborated. And I said, Neil, we need an Akbar that really, I want all the wiggle that the puppet had. I want the rubber finger when it wiggled things, the Death Star. I want all of that. And so we've got Admiral Akbar back for season 2 in a much bigger way. In fact, because this crowd will get it, he's going to go head-to-head with Thrawn. So there you go.
Whoa!
Right? That's what I want to see. Give him some competition, What's a Death Star compared to the blue guys? So let's go for it.
All right. Now we're talking. I love this idea of Akbar showing up. Love the idea of him matching wits with Thrawn. That's fantastic. And I even love more than all of that is Dave's attention to the detail. Yeah, I want the rubbery fingers as well when he's gesturing. Like none of that. I don't need it to be improved. I'm good. I want my 1983 Akbar. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Are they fingers or are they fins? We'll find out. But yeah, that's great to have, a classic OT character return and a character that some might say kind of got the shaft in the sequel trilogy as far as being just sort of tossed away in the entire sequence. Granted, Admiral Akbar was never a major player in Star Wars, but after his appearance in Return of the Jedi over the years, the character has certainly grown in stature in the eyes of a lot of fans.
Hey, he deserves to be there as much as Mon Mothma deserves to be there in terms of consequential characters.
There you go. There you go. I mean, he was hugely important to the rebellion. Some people were getting on me because I said that the Mon Cal, they weren't always around the rebellion. They came in sort of late in the day. They really joined the fleet in Return of the Jedi. And everyone got all over me. What about Admiral Radis in Rogue One? And I was like, oh, shit. You're right. How did I forget? But see, sometimes I just lean on the old expanded universe canon, the old film canon. I sometimes have not allowed Disney canon to really seep into my overall approach to Star Wars, just certain elements. Other times I'm really very thoughtful about all of the new bits of lore that have been introduced and everything. But I think Rogue One made a mistake in having Admiral Radis and the Mon Cal being represented. And I'm going to retcon this and say his ship was the only Mon Cal ship in the fleet. It wasn't until Return of the Jedi when the entire Mon Cal fleet segued with the entire Rebellion fleet. That's when that happened. That's my rationality.
I never gave it that much thought. I really didn't. I assumed that the Mon Cal were there from the beginning.
Well, it's because of that expanded universe story about Admiral Akbar serving as an indentured servant / slave to Admiral or Grand Moff Tarkin. So that's where that all comes from. But, you always go back to what you knew first.
Yes.
When it comes to Star, I noticed this with guitar playing. Like I don't play guitar for a while. The things that I start playing when I pick up a guitar again are like some of the very first things I ever learned. I don't know why that is, but it is. I mean, these are the things that make the biggest impression on you and really stick. So Mon Cal definitely in Rogue One. Admiral Radis, damn you. So played by the great Steven Stantu.
And I do like that Dave acknowledged the line, because it has become such a tired trope. And I'm sure when you're sitting down at your computer and you got to write a line for Akbar, the temptation is probably there. I'm glad that Dave resisted it. And,
Well, you know
like
what?
said,
This puts to rest.
Chicken, right?
Yeah, Robot Chicken, exactly. But this puts to rest all of those goobers who are going to be clapping their hands the second Admiral Akbar shows up on the screen going, say it, say it, say it. Now you know it's not coming, okay? Now you know it's not coming. So sit down, shut up, and watch the show. Sick of you. It's a trap. It's so overplayed meme. Let's put it to rest, Filoni. All right.
Sounds like he is. He's sticking the stake in the heart of the "it's a trap" meme. And
you goobers. All right. So
should we talk a little? Well, let's see.
No, not yet, because Dave is
we have more
he's having rare moments at this celebration where he actually is spilling the beans on details of things we'll be seeing in Ahsoka season 2. Akbar, that's just scratching the surface. Like I said, the post-panel interviews on the live stream stage are usually packed with a lot more valuable information than the panels themselves. The panels, you get the excitement of the reveals and hearing it for the first time and being in a room filled with Star Wars fans who are all feeding off that energy. It's great. It really can't be replicated, even by us doing the couch tour, or couch con, I should say, couch con. But we come close on the sofas, especially with all the texts that are flying. I mean, people say, yeah, my phone's blowing up with this or that. And whenever they say that, it always, to me, seems a very like self-important flex brag sort of, oh, look how popular I am. My phone's blowing up. Well, last 2 days, my phone's been blowing up. And there's 3 people blowing up my phone. You got the FJ, you got the Kyle, you got the Swing. So it's basically Fanboys 2, but via text. I mean, that's basically what this is. So, and there's been some funny things said on these texts too that I simply cannot share. But here's Dave, post-panel interview, and he just rolls with a list of things you're going to be seeing in Ahsoka season 2.
So half of it is a really, really big battle. Yeah. There's going to be a war in our Star Wars, like an all-out throwdown on a scale. As best as I can do it, as best as John and I can afford it, because we want that, and Thrawn will be involved. We will see a lot more of him. You'll see a lot more of Ezra. You'll see a lot more. Hera is gonna get back into it, and she'll be much more directly part of the action. Because you guys made such a big deal about it, I put a lot more Chopper in, and so yes, a lot more Chopper. And because of the way you guys are about it, he doesn't really mess up stuff. I don't know why he does these things, but they all seem to like it. And then because you guys asked for it, and because John's been playing with him so much and I want my toy back, we put Zeb in Ahsoka now. So you get the whole action figure series, the whole play set's available to you in season 2, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
So there's your updates on Rebels season 5 coming to Disney Plus. Because you demanded it, I put in Chopper. I'm like, who's demanding Chopper? I failed to see that. Who? Zeb.
A wink there, because that's Filoni's character, of course. So his voice is the character. So all the demand for. But look, I mean, Zeb. We knew that there was a model for Zeb. They had every other Rebels character show up in season 1 that's still alive. Yeah. So, all right, let's get Zeb. Let's get the whole band back together. And you're right. That's really what this is.
That's what this is. I just, man, I really,
Rebels.
By bringing Ahsoka to live action, they really could have relaunched this character, give her a fresh start, set her on her own adventures and all this stuff, and then bring in these threads later in later seasons and tie them up. But Filoni has a plan. He has a plan, and it basically is live action Rebels. And I know that makes a lot of people really happy.
You have to have a plan when you only got 1 or 2 bites at the apple with this stuff.
Right.
They're limiting themselves, I think, by not doing what you and I were talking about earlier, which is settle us in, commit to a series, commit to a era, a set of circumstances, and a character list, and go from there and let it build. But no, it's very scattershot. Very scattershot.
Very scattershot.
Better make it good, because you only got 1 shot at this.
Because they did 4 seasons of Rebels, and then they continued the story, really, with Ahsoka season 1. What if Ahsoka season 2 never got the green light? Would they have to then go back to animation to wrap up these storylines? I mean, that's so sloppy and haphazard, and why I've always demanded a bit of separation between my Star Wars animation and my Star Wars live action. I just still don't think they flow into each other so seamlessly. And I wish there was a different approach taken with Ahsoka, but I am very excited about season 2, hearing all of this talk about Admiral Akbar versus Thrawn and stuff. I mean, this is great. this is a lot to look forward to. I love Rosario Dawson as the character. It seems like she became a fully realized Ahsoka as the series went on. So I expect a much more consistent portrayal of the character in season 2. And I'd like to see some character growth as well in season 2, and some fresh situations that can then eventually launch her as a character on her own path of unique adventures and break free from the constraints of Star Wars Rebels, which I would really like to see remain in animation. And I'd like to see Ahsoka grow and evolve beyond that in live action.
I think we got to see an end to Ezra too. I don't think Ezra can still be hanging around the rebellion come episode 4.
That's interesting.
Talk about dilution. You know, you're going to dilute Luke Skywalker. I don't want any latent Jedi hanging around flying missions for the rebellion.
Yeah, you should have just left Ezra in that other galaxy. It answered all the questions. I mean, it solved everything.
Right.
You know, just leave him out there. But now you got to flip.
Can we send him back?
Yeah, let's send him back. Is this like Amazon? Can we just slap a label on him and just drop him off at the UPS store? Drop this off at Paradia. What's that going to cost me?